Hello and welcome to release day for the Kinbane Castle Set. So I have gone through this in my podcast, whether it has been finished objects or whips, but today I just wanted to take you through each of the parts of the pattern. So I have released it as a set. There is a shawl, a cowl and socks. All three patterns are currently on Ravelry. It is £8, so that's in sterling. And until the 20th of July, there's 25% discount. So hello and welcome. My name is Angela and this is the Angela Makes podcast. This isn't a true podcast episode. I just wanted to record something for the release of the Kinbane Castle Set. So let's get to it. The first thing that I'll go through is the shawl. So as I've said, I have gone through these in the past. It is still really warm here, although we have had rain today for the first in a while. But I will try these on, but it's going to be quick. So the shawl is slightly crescent shaped. You knit it from tip to tip. You won't have any more than about 100 stitches. It is an even increase, so it's not a graduated increase in any way, so you increase every so many rows until you reach the centre. You can then immediately start decreasing and you will have more of a triangular shape, but what I have done with all of mine is to have a slightly straighter section. So here, a slightly straighter section in the middle to give more of that crescent shape. So you could make that centerpiece as long as you want so that you have something really cozy to wrap around. This particular one is the DK. So you can see that it is long. I think this one ended up about 74, 76 inches. And it is lovely and cozy. Now this was 2 skeins of DK yarn, 225 meters per 100 grams. So you could add another skein in there, have a little bit more width in the middle, and you would have a real, like maybe wrap it around 2 or 3 times. The pattern is reversible, so it's the same. I think this is easier actually on the plain colour, but it's the same on one side as it is on the other. And there's a 3-stitch I-cord bind off on each side. And that was something that I wanted from this pattern. I wanted it to be reversible so that you weren't trying to worry about which is the right side, which is the wrong side. I have gifted quite a few patterns over the years once I've knit them up, and I have found that when I see people wearing them, they're maybe inside out, or they ask me what way round should I be wearing this. So I wanted something that it didn't matter, you could just lift it and run. So this is a reversible stitch. This yarn is Molten yarn, so Kerry is based here in Northern Ireland, and this was the Heartbreaker set from a couple of years ago. Kerry still has a few bits and pieces on her Etsy store, which I will try to link below so that you can have a look at it, but it's just the squishiest shawl. And I can't wait to wear it when it is a bit cooler. I loved the pulling in this and that it did look different. Even in, you get those bigger sections and then the smaller sections, and then actually the way that it worked, I almost ended up with the same going down the other side. So this is the shawl, this is the DK version. Also within the shawl you have the 4-ply version, so this was the most divine yarn. I got this at Bristol Big Flock, and this is loom yarn, so you can see the pattern a little bit better in that particular shawl, and if I turn it around you'll see that it's the same on the other side. The same 3-stitch I-cord bind off, and again you knit from tip to tip. So this ended up the same length. It was slightly shorter in depth, but again no more than 100 stitches. This one I have again done a straight section in the middle and this particular one used 1 skein of 4-ply yarn. So you do end up with something a little bit narrower. The DK one would be lovely in the winter, but this is a lovely autumn or spring shawl. The other way that I had worn this one actually in one of the photos was to just wrap it around my shoulders for a summer night. So again, it just keeps you a little bit warmer over your shoulders, which I think is quite nice as well, especially in the 4-ply yarn. So as I say, if you're interested in really lovely yarn, this was their cashmere silk, alpaca cashmere silk. And this was the Harvest Bloom colourway, but it is gorgeous. Again, it has been far too hot, which is completely unlike Northern Ireland, but it has been far too hot to wear this. So I can't wait until it's a little bit cooler, although I'm not wishing for that either, to wear this. So that's the shawl. DK, 4-ply. I would like to say fully customizable. You could stripe it, you could use scraps, you could do it in whatever way you wanted. What I've tried to do within the shawl is to allow you to measure your yarn as you go, to weigh it out, and then you should have enough to finish it off. But as I say, you can add scraps and do all sorts to this particular one. So have fun with the shawl pattern. The next part of the pattern set is the Cowlette, as I have called it. So you knit this one flat and seam it up. If I haven't already, I'll put up a video of how I have seamed it. But again, this one comes in DK and 4-ply. So this is the DK version, and I have done it in 2 colours. So this one is an old Giddy Ant yarn, now inspiring hand-dyed yarn, and this one is a Giddy yarn. So this from Giddy Ant Yarns was Courage Dear Heart from the Narnia colourway, and this one was Pooh Sticks for Winnie the Pooh, which I absolutely love. So you can see all the different colours of the characters coming through there. It goes to a V shape, and then, as I said, we seam it at the back. This is again totally reversible. So what I tried to do was, that's the seam on the inside and that's the seam on the outside. So again, it doesn't matter what way you pick it up. You could wear it, although it's at the back of your neck, you're not really going to see that anyway. So again, what I like about this one is that you can pull it over your head and it doesn't really move. It stays in position. This I wanted... Again, I wanted it to be squishy, I wanted it to be reversible, I wanted the I-cord 3-stitch I-cord bind off, but I wanted it slightly closer round my neck. So again, in the pattern, it explains how you can make this bit a little bit bigger if you don't like things a little bit. Now, it's not tight as you can see. I've plenty of room, but I always find in the winter, if it is a really cold day, I like it to be tighter up, and a few of the ones that I had knit just sat really open and didn't keep me warm. So again, that bit is customizable depending on how you like to wear your cowls. But this particular one, again, sits really, really lovely, and once you put it on, doesn't move. So this one ended up about 23 inches in length along the front. And as I said, what I have done with this one is to do it in 2 colours, but you don't have to. You could do it in just 1 colour, which I'll show you the 4-ply version now, or you can do it in as many colours as you want. So that's the DK Cowlette in the Kinbane Castle Set. This one is the 4-ply version, so all 1 colour. Again, you have it going into that V shape. I have it sewn at the back. You can hardly even see that actually. There we go. And again on the inside, it's a bit more noticeable on this one. I obviously didn't do as good a job, but you could wear it either way around. So this particular one is only about 20 inches in the front, but that's absolutely fine. And when I did this one a little bit tighter, because again, I find 4-ply yarn sits a little bit more floppy than a DK. So I did this round my neck. I did it an inch shorter. But this is lovely. And I love the colour of this. So this particular yarn is woolly knit, 100% British wool in the pea pod colourway. And it is absolutely beautiful. I have a good few photos of this on Instagram for you to have a look at, and it's also on my Ravelry page. I've created a Ravelry page with each of my samples so that you can see how much I used and the different yarns that I used as well. But this one was no more than 100 grams of, I think it was only 70 or 80 grams of 4-ply. So that is the Cowlette, and again, I love this. I love the shape of it. I love that it's sitting that bit closer. If anything, I should have done my DK one just a little bit, but I wanted to show the flexibility in the pattern. And this is gorgeous. So shawl, Cowlette, DK, 4-ply, same stitch pattern. You're knitting both of them flat, and then you're seaming this one up at the end. It doesn't take too much, and you can't see it, so don't worry if you don't really like seaming. If you can crochet, you could crochet the two seams together, whatever way works for you. But yeah, I absolutely love this. And then as I was making each of these, I thought actually that would be really nice as a sock pattern, and I added a sock pattern to the set. So the first, as I knock everything over, the first socks that I did was these. Just wee shorties, because if you've watched the podcast you will know that I love shorty socks. So this was, again, the colour of this doesn't show up properly. It's called Harvest, and it really is, I'll probably see when I'm editing, but that colour, is that closer there potentially, is the woolly knit wool nylon in their cones. So I got it to try it, and as I said in my podcast, I wasn't 100% sure. It's not as soft as a sock yarn, but the stitch definition is absolutely beautiful. It is really, really gorgeous. And I haven't worn these because I've wanted to use them for photos and for doing the podcast and this little video. So I will now wear them and I'll report back on how well they wear. But I do love the colour. I do love the stitch definition. And I will get back to you on how they wear. And then this yarn is 360 meters per 100 grams, whereas typical sock yarn is 400 meters. So 425. So what I wanted to do was to also knit them in a sock yarn, which is what I did. So these I used a couple of different colours. This one I dyed myself, and these ones I think, I can never remember if they're a socks, or they were from a sock set, I think, again from Giddy Aunt yarn, and I can't remember which. I think they were Giddy Aunt yarn, if I'm being honest. These are for my daughter, but again you can see that the stitch definition is really, really lovely. Now because these are knit in the round, there's a 2-row 3-stitch repeat. On the shawl and the Cowlette, because they're knit flat, it's a 3-stitch 1-row repeat, so you're doing the same row all the time. So the socks took me a little bit more thinking because I'd been so used doing the shawl and the Cowlette, but it's a 2-row repeat. So again, once you get into the flow of it, you certainly don't need the pattern beside you except to check your stitch count at each of the points. So there are the socks. So as I said, £8 for the Kinbane Castle set. I will link it below. You get the shawl, the Cowlette and the socks all in that pattern set. I have used a number of different yarns, and one of the things that I'm going to pop up now and I'll talk through them is my testers, because some of the yarns they've used are absolutely beautiful. Just before I do that, I have 2 more things on the needles. I wanted to do this pattern in a Stylecraft. So this is Stylecraft Recreate, which is their recycled yarn. So it is wool, polyester, nylon, I think. I'll put it on screen. And again, the stitch definition in this is absolutely beautiful. I'm really, really loving it. There we go. And this is really squishy to be Stylecraft, and I think this was $4.65 a ball. This is absolutely beautiful, and I'm hoping to get, this is the Cowlette, so I'm hoping to get it out of one ball of the Stylecraft. So again, in my regular podcast, I will keep you up to date with that. And then I also am doing socks with a longer leg. So this is Bird Street yarn. This is their zebra sock yarn, and it's Pebbles on a Beach, and it's absolutely beautiful. So again, I'll keep you up to date on the quantities, but I wanted to do a longer sock. Now, again, a longer sock for us is no more than 6 inches. So please bear that in mind when you're looking at it. If you like a sock that comes further up your leg, you're going to need more yarn. But I wanted to do slightly longer than the typical shorties that I do, so that I have a better idea of the yarn quantities that you'll need. But as I said, this is the Bird Street sock yarn, and I've just turned the heel and picked up my gusset stitches, so I'm ready to knit the foot in that one. So as I say, those 2 things I will keep you up to date in my regular podcast. So I'm going to lift my iPad and go through some of the testers. The first ones, I'll put up a picture, and these are the socks, and these are in the most glorious pink variegated yarn. I love these. I love the colour of these. They're absolutely beautiful. So these particular ones were, this tester did them on a 2.5. So I typically do my socks on a 2.25. I think I'm a slightly looser knitter when it comes to socks, but whatever works for you. Just check that you're getting gauge, because if you don't, you will end up with a sock that's either way too big or too tight. So just check your gauge, but typically, so I knit, Summerly knit, what other socks have I done? This Handmade Life, Knit Sip Happy, all of those patterns, I meet the gauge, and the socks work out perfectly for me. So if they're the types of patterns that you also knit on, this should be equally okay. These were a size 6, which I'm assuming are UK 6. In the socks, there are 4 different sizes. Small, which is your 56 stitch, medium 64, large 72, and the extra large, which is the 80. So I've done the 4 sizes, and this took 46 grams of a sock yarn. So these are lovely. As I say, really, really like them. Other socks were these ones, and these are again beautiful in a plain colourway, and I love the stitch definition on these ones. So these particular ones were on a 2.25 needle, and they used 51 grams of this particular yarn. Let me just check to see. This is 192 meters per 50 grams, so you probably will need just that little bit more on this one to make it work. But yeah, I love these ones as well. I love the plain, I love the speckled. I think this stitch pattern works for so many different types of yarn. The next socks, I'll go through the socks first. The next socks are these beautiful pink and teal turquoise ones. Again, done on a 2.5 and about 44 grams for the 2. This was the medium size, and I'm not sure what the foot size was in these ones, but again, I think 50 grams would get you shorties easily on the small or medium, and anything up to a UK 6 potentially, which is what, Europe 39.40-ish. I think 50 grams should get you that, even if you had to put on a different cuff or a different toe. You could work on that. But I loved, again, the colour of these. They're real girly. Then these Bird Street yarn, again 2.5mm needle, and 18 grams for the main colour per sock, and 8 grams of the contrast colour. And I really like to see the contrast, so they have done the cuff, the heel and the toe in that deeper colour. And again, just beautiful. I love the different colour combinations and seeing how this pattern comes up in each of them. So they're the socks. In terms of the shawls, this one I absolutely loved. So this particular one was done in You Mama Donegal sock yarn, and You Mama is a yarn dyer here in Northern Ireland in Enniskillen, which is where my husband is from. And I'll put up the other picture of this one where the tester has taken a really close view. The stitch definition is gorgeous and you can see the flecks of colour. I just love this one. So this is the shawl. The tester had said that they would like to have done it maybe a little bit longer, but I still think this is beautiful, and that's what they said. They're able to wrap it round. They would maybe have liked to have wrapped it round twice. So the next shawl is this one, and again, lovely and pink, lovely pink shawl. This is a Malabrigo yarn in Ultimate Sock, and they have used 90 grams of the 4-ply for this particular shawl. And it's lovely. I love the flecks of colour coming through, really subtle but really pastel, absolutely beautiful. And then they also put a straight section in this particular one, but yeah, love it. And all the different colours, and as I say, I'm not just saying I love all of these for the sake of it. I genuinely do really like to see how these have come out, and there are colours that I wouldn't necessarily have picked or don't have in my stash, but they look really nice with this particular stitch pattern. And then this one, this is Miss Babs Yowza yarn. So this is the DK. And this is beautiful, really gorgeous blue. It's actually called Blueberries. They used 165 grams of yarn for this one. So again, as I say, you can adjust depending on the length that you want or how much yarn that you have. This particular one, after blocking, ended up 70 inches by 10 at the deeper part of the middle. And as you'll see when it's round the top, it is really lovely, and it's a really lovely length. So the DK one just gives you that extra bit of squish and that extra bit of depth, but I can't pick a favourite. And then the cowl. So at the minute I have one finished cowl. So this was in a West Yorkshire Spinners Croft DK. And I think I need a plain. Actually, I need one in this sort of creamy beige colour. I think it would be beautiful. This one used 153 grams for the cowl. So I was very similar with my DK cowl. I think I had 160 grams where I'd used the two different colours, but 160 in total. I hadn't 2 skeins of each, which was why I used the 2 colours. But I really like how I did the stripes to fade it in. So as I say, this one is lovely, and it does make me think that I need one in this colour. And then there's another one I'll put up, and this tester they held a 4-ply and a I think it was a mohair together, and the blue and again the speckles of colour. This one was absolutely beautiful. I really, really liked how, again, just using 2 different yarns works really nicely, and it made me think I had a zebra yarn that I had got in purples and greys and blacks, and if I held it with a mohair or with one of my Malabrigo lace, I could have a really, really lovely shawl or cowl for the winter. So just to say thank you to the testers, they are absolutely stunning, and it was a really lovely group. It was so nice to be part of that group. They were all so helpful, they gave feedback. We had to change the sock pattern a bit, so again, if there are any issues or if there's anything that you need explained, please get back to me and I will update, or I will help with the pattern in any way that I can. But I do hope you enjoy this, because I really do love the Kinbane Castle set. So I will leave you with a few pictures of the different shawl, the collet and the socks. Give my channel a like and a subscribe. And even if you're not interested in buying the pattern right at this point in time, if I could ask for you to pop into Ravelry and give the pattern set a heart, that again will just help the pattern so much. So not just to buy it, but if you could like it and view it, that would be absolutely brilliant, and I would appreciate that so much. If you like it enough, I do appreciate that you spend your money on this pattern, because there are so many out there. I will be back with a regular podcast at the end of the week, and I have a few updates on whips. So I'll see you then. Bye!